So we'll start with our just subject now about registering information in the BCH. What we will see today. First, we will just introduce the project, the capacity building project under which we are developing these training activities. And then we'll go to our subject, registering information in the BCH. We will review who can register information in the BCH. Where can we find detailed guidelines and exercises about BCH information registering that you can use for your personal training or for training other people in your countries? What types of national information can be registered in the BCH? The national focal point role. Sorry, there is a mistake in the presentation. What types of reference information can be registered also in the BCH, and how can we use the BCH training site for training ourselves in registering information. We will do all of this with some demonstrations online, real live demonstrations. Our BCH capacity building project has as a main objective to continue assisting eligible countries in strengthening national capacities to effectively access and use the BCH, promoting regional and sub-regional collaboration, networking and exchange of experience of national and regional management. This BCH2 project has 5 main components, and I wish to focus on the second one, that is the one about continued in-depth fine-tuning and development of knowledge sharing training packages. That is our BCH education materials in 5 UN languages, and under this component we are developing these webinars about all the aspects of Cartagena protocol, and particularly the BCH users. For publishing our training materials, our webinars, and developing virtual courses, we have our virtual learning environment that can be reached at the following address: http://moodle.bch.cbd.int. As you can see, you can get to that place publicly, as freely as a guest user, and you will be able to find all the information in 5 UN languages. But if you want also to participate in the forums, to exchange experiences or information, and also to receive notices and news about incoming activities or webinars, you need to have a registered user. And for that, just please send an email to this email address, moodle@bch2project.org, just stating your first name, last name, and country, and I will create the user and give you the instructions to log in. As I said, our virtual learning platform has several public training courses. We will be taking a look at the platform very soon, but today we will use particularly the information that is contained in the English training course. So we'll be back to the virtual learning environment in a minute, but maybe some of us may be wondering why this topic could be important for us. Why should us be interested in learning about registering information in BCH? Okay, there can be several different situations. We can maybe a regulator from a country, an officer of a competent national authority that of a country that is a party to the Cartagena protocol, and so we need to comply with the obligations that come from the Cartagena protocol on biosafety. So this, as you may know, the Cartagena protocol establishes in several articles the need for registering information in the biosafety clearinghouse. On the other side, it is convenient, it may be convenient for our country to publish the information about related authorities, laws and regulations, decisions, existing LMOs, etc. on the BCH for many different reasons, for making them available on a global status, in order to promote the public awareness about biosafety, or in order to help our industry or our NGOs or our academy to get the information about the country and also from outside the country. On the other side, the information to be registered in the BCH can be very extensive. There are some kind of records that you will see that have many pages and require several different items of information that may require the collaboration between different national or global agencies to get it. Another situation that is possible is that you are working for a non-governmental institution, like, for example, a laboratory or a university, or you are a researcher, or several different situations that may involve registering information, reference information, like publications or a new LMO or a risk assessment, an independent risk assessment in the biosafety clearinghouse. So, what is our need here? How can we perform the task related to registering information in the BCH? And on the other side, we don't want to have to do this with a very expensive tool. So we do want to minimize our costs for registering information. And we will also be concerned about the information security. What are the guarantees that we have about the information security? Because all of these kinds of information related to biosafety are very sensitive. So we have, for answering all these questions, we have one solution that is inside the Biosafety Clearinghouse, that is called the Biosafety Clearinghouse Management Centre. And this is a tool that we have to register information, both for national information and for non-national information. Okay, let's take a look now, so you can use them later, at the virtual learning environment and the available BCH education materials that are related specifically to registering information. As we go to the learning environment, we will see that we have several resources available. When we get to the training site, to the virtual learning environment, we see that we have the main page. We can see there the banners for the main public courses, and as I said before, we have an English training course. If we take a look at this one, we will see that it has many sections. And particularly we'll see under the manual sections, training manuals. There are several manuals. Some of them are specifically related to registering information in the BCH. For example, manual number 6, that is registering information in the BCH Central Portal. The manual about national information, registering national information, and the one about registering reference information. These three have a comprehensive instruction about how to use the BCH Management Center to register all the types of information that can be used here. On the other hand, we also have some exercises that we can use to train ourselves or train our people that we call case studies. These case studies will specify a sample scenario and stating what to do, and then we can use the BCH or the BCH training site to perform this task. For example, we can have a case study. The case study 16 is about registering an organization that wants to register a contact person, or case study 18 is about registering a biosafety course and awards. So these are reference records. There are several other case studies about national records. For example, case study 4, that is registering competent national authorities, as we will see in a minute. Please, if you have any question, just raise your hand and we can address the questions immediately, or put your questions in the question pane. Other kinds of valuable resources that are very handy for us while we are registering information are the quick reference guides. These are short guides that we can have at hand when we are working with the BCH, like a quick start, record types, decisions and declarations, and so on. These reference guides look like this. For example, the first one, the first reference guide is about BCH Quick Start. It's just a single page that has the main controls on the BCH homepage. Or we could see, for example, all the list of record types in a single sheet. Or some basic help about how to use the Management Center. So we have these quick sheets at hand, and then we also have the manuals to train ourselves. Okay, let's go ahead. So one important question here is who can register information in the BCH? At first sight, the answer is everybody. Everybody can register information in the BCH, but everybody, meaning everybody that has an account in the BCH can register information. But there is a very important difference between the kinds of information that can be registered. On one side, we have national information, that is official information from the country, and that information can just be registered by a national focal point, BCH national focal point, and what we call also national authorized users. National authorized users will be able to help the national focal point, but the information will just be published once the national focal point has validated them. So national focal point and national authorized users can register national information, the information that is official from the country. On the other hand, we have reference information. This is non-national information. This is information that is not directly related to one country in particular. For that one, every registered user can input this kind of information, and this information will be validated by the Secretariat. In order to have a BCH account, let's take a brief look on how to get a BCH account, so we become a registered user and can then register information. Let's go to the BCH. When you go to the BCH site, it's http://bch.cbd.int. You will see on the right top corner you have one link here. Let me put this in English, sorry. We have two links on the right hand corner. Here, it says sign up for an account or sign in. If we do already have a registered user account, we can sign in to the BCH, or if we don't have it, we can ask for one of them. So we can click on sign up for an account. And you will see that you can register your basic information. The asterisk indicate the mandatory fields, like your last name, country, and your email address. All the communications will be forwarded to your email address, so you should put here a valid email address that you use normally. So once you get your account, the system will send you a temporary password, and you will have to change it the first time you log in. Once you have your registered user account, you are able to register reference information. But if you are a focal point or a national authorized user, you will be also able to register national information. Okay, let's continue. What are the different record types, national record types? Okay, according to the Cartagena Protocol, there are several types of information that should be registered by the countries, like national focal points, websites or databases associated with biosafety, information about competent national authorities, the laws, regulations, guidelines, and international agreements that the country has in place regarding biosafety, countries' decisions, and communication. These are the main subject of all the Cartagena Protocol. When a country takes a decision about the release, for example, the release to the environment of an LMO, or about the import of LMOs for human food processing, food feed or processing. Risk assessments generated by regulatory process. This is a national official risk assessment that is associated with a decision. The experts that will be registered in the roster of experts, and in case of one expert developing a task, when she or he reports about the task, it will be registered also in the BCH. So for all of these types of records, there is a tool that we will see soon, and the behavior of the tool is coherent around all the types of records. Remember, please, that according to the Cartagena Protocol, when the country becomes a party, some types of records should be immediately registered, like, for example, the information about national competent authorities, or the information about laws and regulations that are in place about biosafety. So at the national level, we need to know what is also the role of the national focal point. One of the main tasks of the BCH national focal point is to validate information that will be published in the BCH, validate national information. As I said before, the national authorized users that are created by the BCH focal point can also help to input information, but just only the focal point can validate this information and made it public. Also, the focal point has the task of linking with the Secretariat to the Convention regarding BCH matters, and for that also there are several tools that you already know in the BCH, like national focal points, forums, maintained in the BCH Central portal. The national focal point can be nominated in several ways. For example, one of them, and the most common, is the national focal point for the CPB, for the Cartagena Protocol, can appoint the BCH focal point, or also a Secretary of State, mainly a Secretary of State. The procedures, internal procedures from the countries to appoint the focal points are just from the country. This should be sent as a letter to the Secretariat of the Convention, and indicate the name, all the contact details, and particularly the email that will be used by the focal point to perform her or his tasks. As I said before, the focal point can at the same time designate or appoint several other registered BCH users to perform as what we call national authorized users. These are people mainly inside different competent national authorities that can help with the input of information to the BCH, national information. Once they input information, it will be available to the focal point to review it and eventually publish in the BCH. We have already done one webinar about national authorized users management. The recording is in our webinars page. Let's just take a very quick look at that. If you go to our virtual learning environment and on the page that is called English Webinars, there is a section below that has all the past webinars, and you can get from there the presentations and the video recordings as we will have for this one in a few hours. So there is a webinar already about how to appoint and manage national authorized users. If you have any questions, of course, send an email or just raise your hand now. Okay. We will do an example about registering and trying to cover. Yes, I see a raised hand from Natasha Lider. I will give her the microphone. Please.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, yes. The national focal point have to be someone in government, or can it just be someone in a non-governmental organization? Can it also be someone in a non-governmental organization?
Thank you very much, Natasha, for your question. This is an arrangement that is up to the country to perform, to develop. I have seen examples of some countries delegating the task of BCH, national BCH management in non-governmental organizations. I can tell you about one that I know is in case of Colombia. The BCH focal point is inside the Alexander von Humboldt Research Institute. That's an example, but I don't remember any other country on that situation. Normally, the BCA focal point, most of the time, the BCA focal point is inside a Ministry of Environment or a Ministry of Agriculture, because this is official information from the country. But it's up to the country to decide who will be the inside institution that will hold this responsibility.
Okay, thank you very much. I had asked a question as it related to transparency and support in terms of either side not having any allegiances, whether it is to government and any particular stance or initiative that it would have as it relates to matters that related to the BCH and all related matters.
Okay. Can you repeat this new question? I didn't understand it.
And I had asked my previous question in relation to the transparency and
yes.
Not having any particular allegiance or loyalty to a particular side, so that information and decisions would be without any sort of bias as it related to anything that surrounded the BCH and decisions that would be made from the government side.
Yeah, okay. As I said before, that's a decision from the country. The country will designate inside the country the government institutions or other institutions that the country understands it's convenient to develop BCH focal point tasks. Normally, in the vast majority, more than 99% of the countries, it will be on a ministry from the country, because it's a task for approving and registering decisions and laws and all this kind of information. Any other questions about this? Okay, let's go ahead then. Thank you very much, Natasha, for your question. Okay, let's we will do this in real time live. So we will use the BCH training site. The BCH training site is a complete parallel BCH that we can use to train ourselves to how to register information of different kinds in the BCH without having the risk of that information being available publicly. So let's take a look. We will let me go to the training site now. Okay, you see my screen now. This is the BCH Central portal. I have already logged in as a registered user, and when you come to the BCH, you can let me go to the main page. Under the resources, under the resources entry in the main toolbar, we see a link to the BCH training site. There, on the right-hand side, we see a box that's called training space. We can select one training space, for example, the public one, and then we can select the government that we can choose any government here. For example, we can choose here Australia. And once we select the government, we are faced in the lower part of the right-hand side with two links. One says Training BCH National Focal Point, and the other says Training National Authorized Users. For the first part of the exercise, we will perform as a national focal point, so I will click on Training BCH National Focal Point. And now, this is the BCH training site. I am facing the information as exactly the same as if I were a national focal point for Australia. The difference is that I am working with a training site. On the top of the page, you see all the information that is related to the training site, so we can be assured that we are working with a training site. So it says us what is the account ID, what is the role that I am performing now, in this case BCH focal point, what is the government, Australia, and what is the database for training that we are using. I see a raised hand here as Mrs. Natasha. You have the microphone. You have a question? Okay, thank you.
No.
Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so when we are working with the training site, so we can select the training site, select the database that we will use. In this case, I just advise to use the public one. Is nothing that we will register there will be public really, so we can make any kind of mistakes, and we are safe here. We select the country, and we select the role. In this case, I have selected focal point, so we can take a look of how to register information. So this is the main page. We have a banner here that informs us that we are in the training site, and what can we do here, our role, etc., etc. This information, of course, does not appear when we are working in the real BCH site as a focal point. Below this, we have an entry that says records requiring review. This is exactly the same as in the real BCH. If you are a focal point, or if you are a national authorized user, or if you are a registered user that has registered information, under this section here you will see if there are any records that may require your attention. One note about this is that remember, as you have registered with your email to the system, all the exchanges of information will also be reflected in your email. You don't have to be with a BCH Management Center open all the time. Whenever there is something that you have to be aware of, you will receive an email. For example, if a national authority user has already registered one record, and this gets ready for you to validate or no, you will receive an email about that with a link to this page that we are seeing on the screen. So you just click on the link, you download your email, you click on the link, and you will be directed to this screen. On the left-hand side of the screen, this is the main Management Center page. You will see there are several entries. Let's take a look here. It says Management Center, and there you have several entries, like register a new record, edit a published record, edit a new draft record, record status, and national record completeness. Of course, these are self-explanatory, but for example, to get new information on the BCH, we will click on this, on register a new record. but for example, record status and national records completion maybe are not so self-explanatory. Record status will tell us what is the status, like published, like pending validation, like editing, etc. And national records completeness refers to all records from the country that were registered before the last changes, the 3 years changes in the BCH, and that may have some data missing, some data that nowadays in the new versions of the BCH is mandatory, and that if you were to register that record today, you would not be able to publish it until you complete that kind of information. We will talk a bit more about that later when we see this on the real record. So we go to the task of registering a new record, so we can see how is it done. I click on register a new record, and as I am logged in as a national focal point, I see that we have here 2 links, one for registering national records and the other for registering reference records. Once again, if we are just a registered user, we will just see this link about registering reference records. But as I am also a focal point, I can see the national records too. So now we'll see what kind of national records do we have here too for us. So there is a section about registering national records, and you will see the following information. There is a list of the kinds of records that we saw before on the left-hand side: national focal points, national biosafety website, etc., etc. In the middle part of the screen, we see these links that takes us to what is called the common formats. Common formats that are available in the 6 UN official languages are just Word documents. Let's open one of them. Are Word documents. For example, let's open the Competent National Authority one in English. These are Word documents that have all the data fields that we will find also in the online version for registering information. Let's see if I can see it here. Just a second, please. Trying to open the. Okay. For example, this is how a common format for the competent national authorities look. This has all the fields that we should fill for registering this information. This one is rather small, although it has all the information. But for example, if you were to register a risk assessment or a decision, these other types of records are much more extensive, and you may require information from several different agencies. So the common format, the printed document, can be useful for gathering that information before going into the BCH and register it online. So now we will see on the right-hand side of the screen, for example, for Competent National Authority, we see this icon here, that's a computer, and this one will take us to the online forms to register information. So we click on it, and there we have the tool for inserting this new information. You will see, first thing you will see on the top row is there is a button that says specify languages. As you may know, because of the Cartagena protocol, that all information that is to be registered in the BCH shall be in one of the 6, at least in one of the 6 UN official languages. At least in one. You can register information in one or more than one language. For example, as we are working already in English, the system by default opens with English selected here, but we could perfectly add, for example, Chinese. Also, we can select other languages additionally to the one official language. And for that, we have this list that says select additional languages, and we can select from this list any one, Belarusian, one or more than one. I could put this other one also, and you see that this appear in the bottom of the dialog box with a check here. What will happen now when I save the selection is that for every field in the record that we have to complete, we will have as many entries as languages we have selected. So for example, if I save selection now, you will see that for each field we will have 4 entries for each one of the languages that we have selected. And that will happen all around the record that we want to register. In case we want to register the information in several languages, we will have to provide all this information with the translations. The system will not automatically translate anything that we put there. We need to put everything in every one of the languages that we have selected. I will go back to this one and remove the additional languages so we don't have so many things on the screen. Okay, now again we have just, as you can see, one entry for name of the competent national authority. The fields that are marked in with a red asterisk are nowadays mandatory. This is very important. This makes all the information able to be correctly classified, and this has been changing in the last 3 to 5 years, and now there are a lot of fields that are mandatory and minimal amount of them that allow the BCH to classify the information correctly. So we need to register these fields. I will put very sample data here. For example, Ministry of Health. We see that there are some buttons that we can use to add references and other things, like for example we could add a website. For example, we are registering a competent authority from the Ministry of Health, and we could maybe want to add a reference to their website, health at some country, for example, and there's the link. We need to register the city. And the country. Normally, when we are working in the real site, this will come already selected. A phone number and an email address. When we find here add an item, we can, with this button that says add an item, we can add more entries of the same kind. We press on that and just another line will appear here. We can remove that one also. Then we have some links, like the one for contact person, that will refer to other records that are already registered in the BCA. For example, if for this national competent authority we need to submit information about at least one contact person, we can click on this button that says contact, and there we will see all the contacts that have been already registered by Australia in this case. If we need to create another contact, we can go straight from here, clicking on create a new record, and that will open the format for registering a contact. By now we just will click on one existing contact, we press on continue, and it becomes selected. We see at the top of the page and at the bottom of the page, we can see several other buttons. These ones above the pages will allow us to move forward or backward to different pages. And here we have 3 more buttons. One says review, one says save changes, and the other cancel. Cancel, as you have imagined, is just to stop inputting this information. Review will allow us to check if we have already inputted the mandatory information. So if we press now on review, we'll see what happens. We see that there are some errors. This record, it cannot be published yet because there are some information, some mandatory information that has not been registered yet. So here's the list. So this is a very, very handy way of completing the basic information. You press on review and you have the links to the mandatory fields that have not been filled yet. So for example, here we see that is administrative functions and types of LMOs that I haven't selected yet. So I can click on edit and it will take me automatically to the part of the record that we need to fill now. So for a competent national authority, you see there are administrative functions that need to be defined. It says in red, field is mandatory. So by now I will just click on all functions pursuant to Cartagena protocol. And the other mandatory field is about what are the LMOs that are under the jurisdiction of this particular competent national authority. That is very, very interesting to select specifically because it allows us to search more efficiently in the database later. By now I will just make it easy and press on all types of organisms. Once we have completed the basic information, we can review again. Now there are no more errors, and we have this button that says Save Changes. If I click on Save Changes, we will get this new dialog box that has 2 buttons. A green arrow that says if you have finished entering all the information, you can submit the record for publishing, and there's a button that says Submit for Publishing. And on the other hand, we have another section that says Save as a Draft. For example, if we are working on a lengthy record like a decision or a risk assessment, and we need more information from our institution or others institutions, and we may have to wait till maybe next week, we can just save it as a draft, and we will see how it remains in our database, how we can know what is the situation. Well, let's start with saving it as a draft. So I will click on Save as a Draft. I will continue working in a couple of days. So I have saved the record as a draft, and I am back now to the main page of the Management Center. If I now click on the link on the left side that says Edit a Draft Record, the following page will show me all the records that are being edited now. So we see that we were working on the competent national authority, and it is under editing. This is the status of the record. I have also a button that says delete, so I can quickly erase all the information, and so it will not, in case it was wrong, I can just delete it from the database now. It hasn't been published yet. So if I want to continue working, I just click on the link Competent National Authority, and it will take me again to the same place that we were before. So imagine that we have completed the record now, and we want to publish it. At this point, I have to say also, we will click on Save Changes, and again, we have this dialog box with the top buttons. We want to submit for publishing. Remember that we are performing now as a national focal point. So when we press this button, this information will be immediately available in the BCH in a public way, because we are the focal point. We have just registered information, and now when when we click on this button, we are validating the information also. So we will go public immediately. So I submit for publishing. And now the status of this record changes, and we see the following screen that informs us of the new status of the record. It's a competent national authority, and it has been published. And it says the creation date and the last update time. From this screen that we have now with the information, we can bring it back to edition or delete it. We have the focal point, we can do that. If we press on delete the record, there is a warning now, and the system asks us for confirmation. If we delete it, all the information that was contained will be lost. On the other hand, I will cancel here. I don't want to delete it. We can take the record back for updating, and in that case we can press on edit record, and it will bring the record back, and the status will change to under editing. One important thing here is that the information that is public on the BCH at this moment will not change until I publish the new version updated, pressing on the publish button. So it will change just when we finalize the updating and we press the button. It is not removed from the web, the old version, until we change it. So we will go back from here, and let's cancel the changes. I will cancel the changes, and I'm back to the main page. If I were a national authorized user, remember the national authorized users are users that are appointed by the focal point to help him or her to input information. The national authorized user can register information in the BCH, and that will go to the BCH focal point for validation. I will now show you another web browser which I have already logged in with another username in the training site, so I can simulate the work of a national authorized user. Okay, the same thing, we will use the BCH training site. I will use the same database and the same government, but here I will log in as a national authorized user. So we can show, I have to refresh my screen. Let's select public. Just a second, please. We need to refresh these screens. The system will sign you out automatically after some time. Okay, here I'm logged in with another username. This public Australia, and then I'm working as a national authorized user from Australia. This is a similar, you see similar information here than the one that the focal point says. If I am a national authorized user, I can register national information. I will do the same. I will create another competent national authority briefly and quickly so you can see what happens with the focal point. Sorry, this is a law. Let's search for a simpler one. Competent national authority. So let's put here environment. site, city, country is Australia, and phone number, whatever. Let's review this record. We need an email address, a contact person, we will select, as before, one of the reference records, and we need the regulatory functions. We select on administrative functions all functions related to the protocol and for all types of LMOs, and we are ready to publish. Save changes. Now I am performing as a national authorized user, and I want this to be published in the BCH. So when I click on Submit for Publishing, it doesn't go public now. It just will go to the National Focal Point folder. So you see that the record now is pending approval. This record of the national authorized users has created and wants to publish, it's ready to be approved by the focal point. So you see that information on the screen. It says validation request. It says pending approval. This is the status of the record. And I can modify this record, which if I press on modify record, it will take us back to the same entry form. And I can also cancel the request. If I press on cancel, the information can be made back to the focal point, to the national authorized user, or even be deleted completely. Let's see what happens at this moment with a national focal point. The situation is the national authorized user has created a new record and submitted it for publishing, so it goes to the inbox of a national focal point. I will change my screen now and will show again the web page of where I was logged in as focal point. So I am here now again. Please see that I am in the training site, logged in as a training BCH national focal point. And I will refresh my screen here. So now you will see at the bottom of the page where there is this list of records that require my attention. You see the record that has been sent by the national authorized user. In this line, you can see the type of record, there is a competent national authority, the status, that is pending approval, and who requested that. This is the email of my other user that is performing as national authorized user. So I, as a focal point here, just can go and do my work. It's click on competent national authority, this record that needs to be validated, and I have all the information here. There is a validation request, and I can approve the record as is, and in this case it will go publish. I can cancel it, and in this case it will be deleted. I can request changes, or I can modify the record myself. If I press on modify the record, I will be taken to the entry form as we have seen before, the same way, and I can finish inputting information. Or I can ask this national authorized user that is in another institution to make some changes to the record. For example, if I press on request changes, we will see this new dialog box in which we are allowed to input some information, some instructions for the national authorized users to do whatever we want her to do. For example, please correct the phone number and add some more contact information. Once we finish this, we press on continue, and the record will go back for editing by the national authorized user. As you can see now, the status of the record has changed, and now it is under changes requested. What happens now in the real site? An email will be sent to the national authorized user saying that the record needs some changes, and with a message that we are seeing here, the one that we just typed in, being displayed, changes have been requested. So the national authorized user will receive an email with a link that will take him or her to the proper Management Center web page. I will change again now my website to show how the national authorized users would be seeing this. Okay, here I am in the national authorized user computer. I will refresh the page, and you see that the information about the record says changes requested, and now I, as a national authorized user, can modify the record. The rest of the procedure is exactly the same as we have seen before. Once I modify the record, I can submit it again for publishing or validation from the focal point, and so on until it is finally published. In order to, once a record is published, I'll switch again to the focal point. Once a record is published, it can be seen from by anybody in the BCH Central portal, and we can check the record status of all of our records. In this case, we see this some records here. The last one is the Ministry of Health, is published. If we want to change the status of this record as a focal point, I can click on it, and I can wait, sorry, we have to go to edit a published record. In this case, we have all the published records from this country, and we can click on it, anyone, and then we can bring the record back and change anything. We can edit it, change anything inside it, but this information will be shown, as I said before, once I update it and publish it, or I can delete it from the web. Remember that it will not be deleted from the web until you effectively press delete record and submit for publishing. At that moment it will be taken out, and it will take some time also after that, because the record may involve references to other records. See, if this record is referenced in other records, then the system internally has to arrange all the links so they don't become inconsistent. So it takes some time, after several hours may be taken, after we press delete record to the moment it effectively gets removed from the web. Okay, let's review quickly what we have seen. So regarding national information, we have seen how to create, update and delete records, how to select languages, how to what are the mandatory fields, what are reference fields like the contacts or websites, or we have also some possibilities to add documents. For example, if we are registering a law or a regulation, we can put a link to the document, or we can upload the document itself in PDF format. We have to check what is the time frame for confirmation or updating information. Let's go back to the system and see one of the records we have here. For example, let's go to edit a published record, the last one. Anyone. I will edit this record that is about a law, and we'll see in one of the pages for every record we will see this section that says about time frame for confirmation or updating of information. Different kinds of information that we register in the BCH will be susceptible to to obsolescences. I mean, for example, addresses of institutions or names of persons of anything that can be changed inside the country. So there is a time frame for each kind of records different that once it's passed, the system will ask the focal point to confirm that information is valid or even to change it and update it. For example, in this case, if you want to be notified about this time frame, you click on yes, and then the system will send you an email to confirm or update the record within 3 months after the period. If I click here on yes, once the period in this case is 2 years is out, I will receive an email as a focal point reminding me that I have to confirm or update the record. The other thing is about national record completeness. I told before that some time ago that BCH started to be enhanced in order to be more effective to classify the information, and then they appear the mandatory fields. But before that, there were almost no mandatory fields, and so in a lot of records that were in the BCH lack some of the important information. In order to resolve that situation, you see this screen as a focal point under the page of national records completeness, and you can see if some of your records lack of some of the information, and you can go there and complete the information. Once you put this record under editing again, you will not be able to publish it again until you complete it. So this is a very handy tool to finally complete all the details that are missing there. Okay, now the only thing that we need to review here is the flow of information for publishing national data. As I said, we showed how to manage information from the national authorized user and the national focal point. We can check this diagram that is contained in the manual number 6 about registering information, but it's just a picture of the flow that we have already demonstrated. If the record is a national record and you are a national authorized user, when you finish inputting information, you submit it for publishing, and it goes to the national focal point. The national focal point can say it's not enough and get it back to the national authorized user, or the focal point can, okay, it's already complete, and once the NFP press publish, it goes live, goes public. Okay. Do we have any questions about this first process for national records? I see one hand here. It's from Mr. Eric. Eric, I will give you the microphone. You
Head. Hello, I hear you very, very low. Please raise your microphone because it's very, very low. Mr. Eric, I cannot hear you. Maybe you can write your question in the questions pane. And I will repeat for everybody. Okay, here we have the question from Mr. Eric Widmer. It says, a question regarding completeness of records. I have mandatory fields where I do not have information. Therefore, I cannot publish a record. Yeah, that's correct. Nowadays, if you don't fill the mandatory fields, you will not be able to publish that information. You need to get that information. But what would be that situation, for example? Yeah, Mr. Wilmer, effectively, if you cannot fill some of the mandatory fields, you will not be able to register that information. But the mandatory fields have been decided by the Secretariat and advised by. Okay. You have a question here that says we can import LMO decision, but have no importers so far. Well, okay, then you cannot import it. The importer can be also the government. You will have to register the importer as a contact, and then refer. Select delete the country decision. No, you don't need to delete the country decision. You can complete it stating the importer. If you are importing an LMO, somebody is doing that. So maybe if you don't have a specific company or enterprise that is doing the importation, maybe it is being done by the government, and in that case, the importer will be the government. You need to create a contact indicating who the importer will be, or maybe a government agency. What can happen is that information of an importer can change over time. So that's why it's important to keep it updated. Okay, we will move ahead. Mr. Widmer, if you want more information about this specific issue, please just send me an email, and we will see it online. If you want, we can help you with this same tool webinar, and we can work online to check your records, okay, and see what is going on. And if I cannot help you, I will refer to Mr. Ferraiolo at the CBD to solve this issue. Okay? Okay. Thank you for your question. It's very interesting. Okay, are there any other questions regarding the flow of information between focal points and national authority users? If not, we can move on to reference records. Okay, we'll move on to reference records now. What are the types of information that can be registered in the BCH and are not national information? These are called reference records or reference information types, and these involve contact details. Remember, contact details are I call reference records because they can be referenced by all the other kinds of records in the BCH. But contact details are maintained on a country basis, on a country or on an institution basis. It's private. No, if you are a focal point or a NAU and you register the contacts, nobody from outside the country will see them until you put them as a reference in other records. So we have also capacity building activities, projects and opportunities. There is another kind of record that is very important, a reference one that is called capacity building needs assessment. This is a very interesting kind of record that is very useful for us to express our needs at a country level or institutions level, academy, laboratories, whatever. And it can be used later by funding agencies to assess and evaluate how to help us as a country or as an institution. For example, a university working on
biosafety courses or a laboratory that needs equipment for LMOs detection, whatever. Then we have a list of biosafety organizations, including laboratory for detection and identification of LMOs. There is a big move on this item now. Biosafety Information Resource Center that includes all the kind of papers and publications, scientific publications related to biosafety. News that we can publish on the BCH. We can publish, for example, everybody can send a request to publish a new about this webinar, for example, not being a government. We also have the possibility of registering risk assessment reports that have been generated by independent on non-regulatory processes. I mean, this means a risk assessment that has been done by a private or non-private but non-official laboratory, for example. If you are a company that develops LMOs, then you can use the BCH to register a new LMO that you have been developing, or a genetic element, or an organism. What is the flow of information in this case? These are non-national records, so the focal point here is not involved at all. Once imagine the situation that we have a company that develops LMOs, we want to publish a new, we want to publish in the BCH a new LMO. We register that information, and once we submit for publish, we are just a registered user. We submit for publishing, the record goes to the Secretariat to the Convention of Biological Diversity. They will be the ones to validate it. So in the case of a LMO, there are other things also related to this task, because the LMOs need to have a unique identifier. If the company already has a unique identifier for this LMO, they will be able to put it on the record. But if they have not it, the CBD will ask the OECD for a new unique identifier for the LMO. The process for registering reference information is exactly the same as we have seen for the national records. The flow of information and the validation is the only thing that changes. The registered user will input the information, and once she submits it for publishing, it will go for validation by the Secretariat. This is all the same for all the reference informations. If a university wants to publish a record about a new course that is related to biosafety, they can do that. Every academy, every institution, every researcher can register information in the BCH, and once we press on publish, it goes to the CBD for validation. So we will quickly take a look at how we will see it. Now I have to log in as a registered user. Let's use the training site again. I will change my settings here. Instead of being a national focal point in the training site, I will keep the training space, public BCH training, but I remove the government, because if I will perform as a registered user, I am not bound to any government in particular. So now I have three links here. I can leave the training site, or I can perform as a registered user. So I will do that. Now I am here in the BCH, but now performing as a registered user. So you see that when I go to the Management Center, when I go to register a new record, the page is very similar at the one before for the national focal point, but now we just have links for registering reference records. And for example, at this moment we could choose to register a new LMO. You see that we can also register capacity building activities. That includes courses, seminars, projects, and there are also entries for biosafety organizations and laboratories. But let's check the entry for an LMO. So I click on the computer icon, and we are taken to the same kind of input pages as before. Remember that at the top of the first page we will have the instructions to fill this record, so we just need to read this to see what are all the fields that we need to complete for this record to be submitted for validation. In this case, we have contact organism, donor organism, genetic element, and so on. So let's go ahead and put some sample data. This is, of course, simulated data. We choose the developers. I will choose anyone. Mr. Giovanni Ferraiolo from the Secretariat. Continue. These are contact information that are already registered in the BCH as contact data. One developer. We need to refer to an organism. Let's just select the first one, just in case it's the same kind of behavior as the other pages. Page number 2, we need to specify the genetic elements, introduce genetic elements. Again, I will select one very quickly. We need to specify the modifier traits. I will select resistance to diseases and bacteria. And then I think we are almost done. I think we are done, so we can press on review to check that all the fields are, the mandatory fields are okay. There are no errors. I can save changes now. Now again, we see the same dialog box for saving as draft or publishing. When I submit for publishing, remember I am just a registered user registering a reference record. So now I submit it for publishing, and we see that it's pending approval. We see the information validation request, the same thing, but it is pending approval. It will not be published until the Secretariat effectively validates it. So we'll not see it online. Nobody will see it online until the record is validated. Let me see now. How can I? When you're using the training site, there is a functionality in the training site that allows the trainer, the regional advisors or the trainer, if you are using that as a trainer, to see all the records that the trainees are working on, in particular the reference ones, and to act as if you were the Secretariat in order to be able to approve the record. I am doing that on another screen now. I will approve the record. Okay. And then you will see in the main page how it looks. Approval. Okay. Okay. The same kind of procedure we can use for any other reference record. So to recap about this, we can take a look at the flow of information for reference records. In this case, we see that we are working on a reference record. Once we finish inputting the information, we submit it for publishing, and it goes to the Secretariat. They will validate it eventually. They will ask for changes, or they will make very thorough checks about the information that is being submitted. If it's really related to biosafety, and in any case, if they have any kind of doubt, they will contact you or even contact the national authorities in case there is some kind of possible conflicts. Once they validate the record, it goes public in the BCH we saw before. Do you have any questions about this procedure and this flow of information for reference records? There used to be several questions about this, particularly if there is some kind of involvement of the national authorities or the focal point in this process. And the answer for that is no. The focal point, the national focal point, that has nothing to do with the reference records and is not notified of any record, any reference record that a particular registered user is sending to the Secretariat. So that may be something a bit difficult to understand by you. If the Secretariat has any kind of doubts about the information that is being submitted by a registered user, they will contact the focal point and but directly, personally, via email or phone. If you have any questions about this process for registering reference records, please raise your hands or put the questions in the questions pane and I will read it aloud. Okay, I see no questions, no raised hands, so I will move on. Okay, finally, let's review what we have been doing in this webinar. We have first seen that everybody can register information in the BCH, but there is a very important difference between national information that can just be registered by the focal point, that is a person that has been appointed by the government, and on the other hand, the reference information, the information that is not pertaining to the country, can be registered by any registered user that has an account in the BCH. We have seen that in our virtual learning environment there are some manuals, detailed manuals, that describe all the procedures for registering information and using the Management Center. Also, we have some exercises that we call case studies that state a scenario that we can solve using the BCH, and there are several of them that are related to registering information in the BCH. You can download them and use them in your own personal training, or to train other people, or use them in courses or seminars, whatever. We have seen the different types of national information, and some of them are mandatory when the country becomes a party to the protocol. We have seen the role of the focal point as the one that has the responsibility of validating the information from the country, the national information. We have seen the different types of reference records, and that, for example, a university would be interested in publishing a new course that is about biosafety with several information related to that. That can be very important also to get funds for a course or an opportunity or a training opportunity. And we have been using the training site to demonstrate how to do all of these tasks. I see one question here. Just a second. Natasha Leader, do you have a question? Do you want to? You have your microphone. Hello, Mrs. Leader, do you want to ask a question?
No, I did not unmute my microphone.
Ah, okay. Okay, do you have any questions? Mrs. Mogelska? Yeah, you have your microphone.
Hello. I have a question about the update of information. If I recorded an information in 2006 and I would like to update it, but I don't want to change anything in that record. What I have to do?
So what do you want to update? Just the date?
Yes, so everyone can see that it's okay, this information, it has been reviewed, it's okay, but I don't want to change there anything.
Okay, you have. Let me go to the training site as a focal point. You are a focal point to your country?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go to the training site again. I will put myself as a focal point again for Australia. Or what is your country, Mrs. Mogelska?
Slovakia.
Slovakia. Okay, let's try to visit Slovakia. Suppose I am the focal point for Slovakia. Sorry, change settings here. I'm going to change my settings and perform as the focal point for Slovakia. 25 focal point. Okay, now I am the focal point of Slovakia. Yes. So you want to update a record. So you press on Editor Publish Record, and there you have. We are seeing the Slovakian records in the screen. Which one do you want to change?
For example, competent national authority.
A competent, this one, sheet 7246, Ministry of Agriculture?
Yes.
Okay, I click on it. And you see that it takes us to a page that where we can edit the record or delete the record. It's very important to understand that it will not change until we do anything here. So on the website, on the BCH Web Public website, is still the old information. Okay, so I can go to edit record. I can go to edit record here, and I can change anything now. The same thing. You go through all the fields. You confirm all the fields. Okay, I insist I am now working on the training site, so no changes that I do here will reflect on the real site, so I can do anything here without any kind of problem. Suppose I just change this street address. Instead of Dobrovikova 12, I will put 1212. Okay, something very simple just to illustrate the procedure. And then I just press on Save Changes, Submit for publishing, and once I submit it for publishing, I am the focal point, the new state is published, so the changes have been published. If you just put a space on every single field, it will be enough to be updated, and you will see the date of last update will be updated also.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that I wanted to know.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question. Are there any other questions? I think, yeah, Mr. Joseph, you have the floor.
Yeah, good afternoon to you all. I'm Joseph from Ghana. I want to know, I think at the point in time I went to the site and went to the capacity building area. I thought that there were materials there that can be used to build capacity of other people. I tried to download and never had anything. I do not know whether it is because of maybe my system or maybe the CD I was trying to use, as I was unable to load any materials. It looked as if there were some materials there, but I couldn't access them.
You are talking about BCH training materials?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let's go back then. Remember, we have our virtual learning environment that you can reach at. Let me show again the page. This is I will show you in another browser how it looks when you go there. Remember, it's http://moodle.cbd.int. Just a second, please. All the training materials are in our Moodle virtual learning environment. This is the address, moodle.bch.cbd.int. All the learning materials are available from here, and also there is a link I show you now for in each one of the public courses to the ISO image of all the materials that you can download everything together. But it's very big, and it's not very convenient to use just this link because we are continuously updating the material, so it's much better if you go to the specific material that you want and you download that one from the course. Let's take a look at it now. When you get to the virtual site, you see this page. In this page you see these 5 banners. These are one for each one of the public training courses, global training courses in each language. For example, the one in English is this one that contains all the materials. You see it starts there with a disclaimer, reproduction. You can use anything in your courses or for your training. There is a link to download the complete material, but this is updated from time to time once we have several updates of the internal materials, and it's huge. So it's better if you just use the specific materials. And then under the other sections you have the section on stakeholder curriculums, training manuals, interactive modules, case studies. Everything is here. If you want a comprehensive guide about all the materials, you can see from the main page, I'm going back to the main page. In the main page you have on the right hand side in light red several links to the webinars pages, as this webinar we are having now. In these webinars pages you will see that one of the webinars has been, I will open the webinars pages again. You will see in the webinars, in the English webinars page, you will see in the past webinars section, there is a webinar about the BCH virtual learning environment. That I was showing you. You have a webinar there with a presentation that you can download and the video recording of the webinar. We will do this webinar again in a few weeks. But in the meantime, you can download the video, watch the video online that will explain you all the materials that we have available and how to download them and how to use them in your own training. If you have any kind of issues or questions, I will be very, very happy to help you with this education material.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
No. Okay, thanks.
Any other question? What is needed to be done for Natalia? What is needed to be done for an update record? Okay, we have already answered that. And Mrs. Natasha, do you have any question? No. Okay. Thank you. Okay, do we have any other questions? I see here a question about there is a question here that says, where is the information that is being edited stored? Is it safe? Yeah, okay, this is a very important issue regarding information about biosafety. You know, all the information that is related to biosafety is very sensitive, whether you are registering a decision, whether you are a company that is registering an independent risk assessment or whatever. This is very sensitive information and the responsibility is very high. So we should be concerned about security of the information. The BCH Central Portal has all the provisions, all the features to maintain the information very safe with the latest and up to the state-of-the-art security methodologies and technologies. Also for power and redundancy of computers, they have the latest equipment for that, so we can be safe. Our information will be safe while it is being edited or even being published. Okay. If there are no more questions, we will finish this webinar now. I appreciate very much your participation in our webinar, and you, of course, are invited to continue participating in the forthcoming webinars about BCH users according to the Cartagena Protocol and for general benefit taking of the BCH. Thank you very much, and good morning or good afternoon.